Hello and welcome to day 4. I am looking forward to veering off the topic just a little bit, and I'm going to be talking about toxins and obesogens today for day 4 of the Hormone Healthy Holidays Challenge. So it's a particularly important topic and one that I wanted to create a special day for, just to make you aware of how you can start eliminating and reducing toxic burden in your life. It's especially important now because we are born with a higher toxic burden today than ever before in history. It's something we all have to pay attention to. It contributes to health or disease. And so scientists actually estimate that everyone alive today has at least 700 contaminants in their body, and most of these have not been well studied. So I'm going to talk about 4 that are the most critical for what we are talking about this week in regards to hormone health and healthy weight. So basically, when you have a high toxic load plus high stress, it means you're going to struggle to lose weight no matter how much you exercise or eat healthy or fast. And it does this through several ways, including getting stored in our fat cells in our brain, disrupting our hormones that control metabolism and weight, especially thyroid and insulin can be particularly affected. So at the end of the day, toxins make us insulin resistant. So glucose, insulin, and toxins all get stored in our fat cells. Now, it's important to remember that our bodies are trying to protect us. And by doing this, by keeping our brain and our cells protected from these chemicals, it's not going to release those for anything. And so we need to start reducing that burden, making sure that we have sufficient nutrients and that our detox pathways are open. So the 4 obesogenic chemicals I'm going to talk about today that disrupt our hormones and our detox pathways and get stored as fat are plastics and BPA, pesticides, phthalates, and PFOAs. So the first one, plastics and BPA, is an easy place to start. So we can start to limit plastic use and BPA exposure. I mean, plastics and BPAs are damaging to hormones, blood sugar, weight, brain health. And I hate to break it to you, anyone here like, oh, I use BPA free. So I get this all the time. And unfortunately, BPA free usually just means it contains BPS or BPF, alternatives that are at least as harmful, if not more. It's just that they're not well studied yet. So BPA and plastics directly affect our hormones in a lot of different ways. So the ovaries by increasing testosterone, creating sort of an estrogen testosterone imbalance. The liver by lowering our detox pathways that get rid of BPA, but they don't only get rid of BPA, it's anything and everything we are exposed to in our food, our environment. It deactivates thyroid hormones, and we're going to talk about that more later. But that is so common to have sluggish thyroid or hypothyroidism. It's the most common autoimmune disease, and I see it in the vast majority of women that I work with. At very small levels in water, it causes inflammation and insulin resistance. So I'll send you some resources so you can look and see what's in your water, but it's also linked to PCOS, thyroid disease, neurological disease, infertility, blood sugar issues. It's just not something you want to mess around with. So simple ways to avoid plastics and BPA would be just reducing use of canned foods or look for boxed options or BPA free when you do use them. But avoid all containers that contain BPA number 3 or number 7. If you can find glass or porcelain or stainless steel, that's always ideal, especially when you are storing like hot foods or liquids. One thing that I usually see is I was at a conference and a doctor was popping off all of the hot coffee lids and was basically like, when you drink coffee or hot liquids through those plastic to-go cups, it's melting and kind of releasing BPA directly into your body. So never drink through those lids. And then never ever microwave plastic food containers or plastic wrap ever, please. That is just something that you should never ever do. And then even store receipts. When you go to the grocery store, just have them throw it away or stick it in the bag, because that ink on the receipt paper gets directly absorbed into your bloodstream. And then another kind of lesser known source of BPA exposure is farmed salmon. So people think they're doing, making healthy choices, but it's actually one of the highest sources of BPA. So definitely choose wild salmon when you can, which doesn't contain the BPA plus tons of other chemicals. Now, number 2 that we're going to discuss is pesticides. Now, glyphosate is the number 1 pesticide used in the United States today. It's the main ingredient in Roundup, and we're exposed to about 300 million pounds per year. That's 1 pound per person in the US. And it's not the only pesticide that's being used. There are tons of other nasty pesticides and chemicals that are getting used. So we're kind of getting this cesspool of different chemicals in our body. But glyphosate's the active ingredient in Roundup. One of the most infamous, I would say. It damages your digestive tract lining, and it causes leaky gut syndrome. So it does this by it kills bugs. Basically, it works by exploding their intestines and their digestive tract. So via the shikimate pathway. And we've been told that it doesn't affect humans. We don't even have a shikimate pathway. But guess what? Our gut bacteria do. And our gut bacteria is what determines inflammation, and it's where our immune system is, weight loss resistance, nutrient status. Basically, we cannot be healthy without a healthy gut. And so what that's doing when we're exposed to it is wiping out those healthy protective gut bacteria. Not only that, leaky gut means basically we have permeability in our intestinal lining, which lets harmful toxins and bacteria come out into our bloodstream. It destroys where 80% of our immune system lives, in our gut. Our gut is what produces about 80% of our happiness neurotransmitters like serotonin. So there's no surprise that with systemic inflammation and low serotonin production that we're going to have mood issues as well. But this also means that essential nutrients that are required for good health aren't absorbed by the body. And that can lead to nutrient deficiencies. Leaky gut is what opens the door to autoimmune disease, digestive issues, brain and mood issues. So glyphosate also disrupts our glutathione pathway. And you may have heard me talk about that a few times, but glutathione is our master antioxidant. So that makes it even harder for our bodies to be able to detoxify or quench inflammation going on in the body. Now, hypothyroidism, as I mentioned, is super common. And when I see a thyroid issue, I was definitely diagnosed with one years ago. I don't know if anyone else here has dealt with that, but when I see a thyroid issue, automatically one of my first thoughts is high toxic burden. It's sort of like a canary in the coal mine for toxic burden. And the thyroid is considered the master metabolism hormone in the body, because every single cell, organ, and tissue in our body uses thyroid hormone. And it controls the process that converts food to energy. So sluggish thyroid would look like weight gain, feeling cold, constipation, depressed mood. There can be a whole laundry list of symptoms. Even if you don't have a full-blown diagnosis yet, it's important to run a full thyroid panel. Usually you become hypothyroid from a variety of ways, but usually it includes overstimulation of the brain. So check out day 2 on stress and adrenals. High toxic burden is a biggie, and then insufficient nutrients. So when we have digestive issues, that we're not either getting enough nutrients or absorbing the nutrients needed to produce those hormones, which is super common with gut issues or gut inflammation. And then calorie counting just typically doesn't work with people with hypothyroidism. And so focusing on anti-inflammatory foods, check out day 3 for that. A lot of organic produce, grass-fed or wild-caught protein, complex carbohydrates, and then just focusing on nutrient status, toxic burden, and stress management are all really important for managing that. Now, when you want to, avoiding pesticides and glyphosate is really difficult to do, but choose organic when possible. And I know that's not possible for everyone to buy everything organic. So the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, every year they put out a Dirty Dozen list and a Clean 15 list. So you can check out what produce is the most chemical laden, and that's where you want to focus buying organic. And then the cleanest, you can kind of lower that on the priority list. Number three is phthalates. So and that's spelled with a P. That is probably the number one obesogen. So anytime you see anything with artificial fragrance, you know it contains phthalates. So perfumes, air fresheners, laundry detergent, skincare, the list goes on. And it also is a plasticizer, which means it makes plastics soft and flexible. And so, just getting unscented or avoiding plastic use or switching to essential oils is a great option. So the same website, ewg.org, they have a skin deep database, and you can look up your personal care products just to see where they rank when it comes to chemical burden and find something that is lower, but definitely look for parfum or fragrance. And that's something to definitely avoid or swap out. Now, if you have a chemical sensitivity to scents, cigarette smoke, things like that, that's another strong indicator that your body's detox pathways and ATP, where your little cellular energy production powerhouses they're overwhelmed and they need support. Now, the last one I want to touch on today is called PFOAs, or forever chemicals. And that's really scary because there's nothing you can really do to get rid of them. They just hang out in your body for decades, really, and they can wreak havoc. So, avoid those if possible. They're found in styrofoam packaging, nonstick pans, commercial meats, mostly because the grains actually have PFOAs. So move to grass-fed when possible. And then they're on our clothes and furniture. So anytime you see sweat wicking or water repellent, it probably contains these forever chemicals. And then our drinking water. So again, back to ewg.org, they have a water database where you can type in your zip code just to see what chemicals are in your water. But and then it's really important to switch from, if you have Teflon pans, like nonstick pans, switch over immediately to cast iron, stainless steel, or stoneware, ceramic, something that does not contain that. So today's challenge is to go to ewg.org and check your local water, check out your skincare products, and this year's Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 fruits and veggies. Has anyone ever been to ewg.org? They have some amazing resources on there. So start there. And if you want more resources on testing, DM me at Toxins and I will get those to you. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for day 5.